ukuaji kwa kuchelewa kwa watoto asua wale ambao wana matatizo kidogo kidogo ya ukuaji kuchelewa, ama ile ambao wanasema ni delays katika developmental stages za mtoto. Studioni kwa siku ya leo, ndugu mpenzi msaji wangu, niko na wageni wawili wanatoka chuo kikuu cha Tangaza hapa jirani tu hapa maeneo ya Karen hapa juu kidogo. Tutakuwa hapa na Daktari Ruth Walioli ambaye atakuwa anakuja kutuzungumzia kwa undani zaidi kuhusiana na swala hilo, alafu baadaye tutakuwa vile vile na Sister Mary Ngina pia kutoka katika chuo hicho kikuu cha Tangaza University. Alafu masuala ambayo tunazungumzia leo asubuhi, ndugu mpenzi msaji wangu, ni tunajiuliza hapa, asubuhi ya leo tunaangalia kuhusiana na early childhood assessment and interventions for children with development delays. Yani katika ile lugha ya Kiswahili kidogo tukijaribu kuweka katika lugha ya kutathmini kidogo, ni kuhakikisha kwamba tutakuwa tunazungumza kuhusiana na hali ya kutathmini ile kuchelewa kwa maendeleo ama kwa ukuaji wa kimaendeleo kwa mtoto. Ndio swala ambalo tutakuwa tunaangazia hapo. Ni vipi unaweza ku identify ukasema huyu mtoto ana vitu ambavyo vinasitisha kuendelea kwake? Ni masuala ambayo tutakuwa tunaangazia hapa kwa umakini zaidi ili tuweze kupata majibu. Alafu pia tutaweza kujua ni kwa nini ambacho tunaweza hitaji kufanya nyakati hizi za asubuhi. Tutaambiwa kwanza hii ni hali ya aina gani. Alafu pia tutaweza kuangazia ile ukuaji wa mtoto katika kijumla. Kijumla nazungumzia masuala muhimu kabisa ambayo yanamkumba mtoto. Naambiwa hapa kuna masuala karibia 4 ambayo tutakuwa tunazungumzia yanahusiana na mtoto. Alafu pia vile tutaweza kuzungumzia kuhusiana na tofauti kidogo kidogo ambazo zinahusiana na hali hizo. Hata hivyo, kando na hayo, ndugu mpenzi mzaji wangu, mbona tuandike kwa mata wakati wine ungalipo? Ni wakati ambapo tunajiunga na Daktari Ruth ili aweze kufanya utangulizi wake, alafu tuanze mazungumzo yetu hapa moja kwa moja. Karibu sana daktari.
Thank you.
Endelea.
Yes. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Yes, early childhood assessment and intervention entails the gathering of information regarding the development of a child and analyzing it for purposes of assessment, for purposes of intervention. So we will gather information about a child for purposes of intervening, developing or rather designing interventions for them, depending on the conditions that they are in.
Asante sana.
Yes.
Asante sana daktari kwa kuweza kufanya utangulizi kuhusiana na swala hilo. Ndugu mpenzi mtazamaji, kwa nimesahau kukumbusha kwamba unaweza pia ukatuma ujumbe mfupi hapo kuuliza swali lolote lile ambalo ungependa kujua kupitia nambari zetu za simu ambazo ni 0710606763 na 0710606799, nambari za kuweza kuwasiliana kwenye mitandao za kijamii Facebook, Twitter, Instagram na vile vile pale kwenye YouTube ambapo tuko live pia. Unaweza ukatuma ujumbe wako mfupi pia pale na tutaweza kufuatilia kwa undani zaidi. Kwa wale ambao wanatumia WhatsApp number, basi pia unaweza kaweka ujumbe huo pale, alafu tutaweza kufuatilia na kwa uzuri zaidi ili uweze kujibiwa hapa ndani ya 99.9. Asante sana daktari kwa utangulizi huo. Wacha kabla tuzidi kusonga mbele kidogo, tuweze kuangazia masuala yanayohusiana na maana ya early childhood assessment and intervention. Tusikie kutoka kwa Sister Mary aweze kutupa pia utangulizi wake kwa kuja kufika katika studio zetu za asubuhi hapa. Karibu sana Sister.
Asante sana, nashukuru. Kwa majina kama mlivyoambiwa ni Sister Mary Ngina. Mimi ni mwalimu Tangaza University College na nimefurahi sana kuwa nanyi asubuhi ya leo kuangazia zaidi about our new program in early childhood assessment and intervention, the newest program I think in town that is really inaangazia sana delay in development of the children. Alafu tuangalie sasa ni jinsi gani tunaweza ingilia kuangalia kama tunasaidia huyu mtoto.
Asante sana. Tutakuwa narejea kwako tunapo baadaye ili tuweze kuzungumza kwa undani zaidi kuhusiana na swala hilo na hiyo course mpya ambayo unasema is the newest in town. Watu tungetaka kujua what it entails na vile vile requirements nini kabla tuweze kujiunga. Asante sana Sister Mary, asante sana Daktari Ruth kwa kuweza kutenga muda wenu na kuweza kufika hapa. Wacha tuende moja kwa moja katika mazungumzo yetu ya asubuhi ya leo. Daktari, tunapozungumza kuhusiana na early childhood assessment and intervention, hii inamaanisha nini?
Yes, like I said earlier, inamaanisha the gathering of information about a child and then analyzing that information for purposes of interventions,
Mhm.
because we don't assess children just for the sake of it. We assess them because there's an area that is problematic that has been identified, and then now we assess and confirm what it is that the child is experiencing. Then based on that information, we are able to design interventions for them.
Ndio.
Yes.
So based on the information ambayo tumeweza kukusanya ndio tunaweza tukadecide tukasema huyu yako na delays, huyu yako sawa.
Yes.
So ni nini inatusukuma mpaka tufike hapo?
Yes.
Factors kama gani inatusukuma mpaka tufike hapo?
Thank you so much. Yes, human growth and development actually entails first of all, growth, which is the increase in height and weight. And then we have development, which is the increase in functionality. And this happens in domains. We have physical domains, cognitive or mental domains, and we also have socio-emotional domains that constitute the holistic human being. That same development follows the same trajectory even in children. And you realize that even in the Bible, in the book of Luke chapter 2, verse 52, we are told that Jesus grew in wisdom and in stature, gaining favor with God and man, meaning that he was growing across those domains of development. Yes, and so the World Health Organization and other scholars have, over the decades, corrected observations about how children attain milestones in growth and development. And they have therefore put up a profile that guides us about the time a child is supposed to acquire, various milestones. Yeah. And then it is also notable that development is guided by various principles. One of the principles that guide growth and development is individuality of growth and development, because people are different. Even children who are born of one parent can acquire the milestones differently. So despite there being delays, in growth and development, we realize that there is that individuality. You are an individual, I am an individual, and so are children. Thank you.
Asante sana. Kwa hivyo unasema mtoto ana develop katika njia tofauti tofauti.
Yes.
Hizi njia tofauti umetaja moja ikiwa ni spiritual. Hizi zingine ni gani na zina umuhimu gani katika development ya mtoto?
Yes, asante sana kwa hilo swali. In these domains, like I said, we have the physical domain, and in the physical domain from birth to around 6 months, a child develops physically, and one of the indicators that they are growing well is that from birth they start rolling forwards and backwards, and by the time they're turning 6 months, they are able to sit with support. Then after that, at 6 months, the child crawls on their belly. Then they sit independently now without requiring support. And shortly after that, a child will start creeping on fours, on their knees and on their hands. Then in most cases, after that, children, they pull themselves to stand. That is the time when they appreciate so much when there is somebody who is supporting them to stand, because their legs are usually not very strong to hold the body mass. So when somebody supports them and they stand they assume the standing position, they really love that. They appreciate that. They don't want to be held like infants. And so from there, most of the children will now start standing but supporting themselves on furniture. And they will also start attempting to walk but supporting themselves with furniture. And by the time they are turning 1 year old, most of the children will have made their first 2 or 3 steps independently. But of course, they are not very stable. They will be, from 6 months to 18 months, they are now able to make their first steps independently, but they walk with a very wide gait, in that they will be walking like in circles because they are trying to balance themselves. And yes, by 18 months they are able to actually stand, and I mean independently, and they are also able to walk.
Asante sana.
Yes.
Ulitaja pia masuala ya intervention, ili kuingilia kati. Iwapo matatizo haya yameweza kutokea, at what point tunaweza tukaingilia kati?
Yes, thank you so much. Still on physical development, we find that after 18 months, by the time a child is turning 3 years, they are able to climb, stairs. They are able to climb things. That is when you'll find them more over your sofa sets, climbing anything that they can climb. At the age of 4 years, they walk around objects, and they are also able to hop on one leg, and they will jump over objects and land with both legs. Then by the time they are 5 years, they are able to skip the rope, and they can even balance themselves on a bar, on a metal bar, and hang to handle the ball. By the age of 18 months, they weren't able to play with the ball. They would just push it, but now they are able to throw it, and they are able to catch it. Also notable, when a child is 2 months old and you press your finger on the palm, they will hold it. That tells you they have the grip, and it's also an indicator that they are growing normally. Yes. Now, as far as developmental delays in physical growth and development, this one, we are able to identify it when a child does not attain the milestones when their peers are attaining them. So that, like we have said, by the age of 1 year, a child, is able to take their first few steps, 1, 2, 3 steps. And like I said earlier, there's also individual differences. But then around that time, you realize that most of the children now will be doing their first steps. Who are of that age, they'll be doing their first steps. And if your child is not doing that, then it's important for a parent to watch them very closely. Now, if they will not have attained that milestones within 6 months from the time their peers attained the milestone, now it becomes important for the parent to get in touch with an assessment specialist, so that the assessor can look at what exactly is happening in the life of this child and be able to address the reason why the child is not attaining the milestones, and provide interventions. Early interventions are very important, and that is why we are looking at early childhood assessment and interventions.
Asante sana. Asante sana kwa maelezo yako kuhusiana na jinsi vile vile tunaweza kuja kutatua matatizo hayo. Tunazidi kuangalia mbele, na tunaangalia pia kuna kuanga na zile origin, ama tunaita katika ile lugha nyingine chimbuko ya masuala haya. Pengine unaweza kutuambia origin ya early childhood assessment huanzia wapi?
Yes, asante kwa hilo swali. In the same way that I have discussed about physical growth and development, there is also what we call cognitive or mental growth and development, where we find that, at a very early age, a child is able to communicate. Language and communication is very important, is a very important part of cognitive growth and development. And we find that at birth, a child is able to communicate, and they communicate through crying, the different kind of cries that they make. And every good mother is able to know, or rather to differentiate those cries. Like a child who is in pain will cry, using a very sharp cry, and a mother is able to know that the child is in pain. When a child is hungry, they cry differently from a child who needs attention. One who needs attention will just be crying, joking around, but and sometimes without any tears. It means they need somebody to just talk to them, smile at them, and give them some attention. So at birth, they cry. That's how they communicate. But then by the time they're turning 3 months, they do what we call cooing. In cooing, the child makes sounds that sound like gurgles. Then after that, they have babbling. They make sounds of ba 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 ba, ta 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 ta. And that's a very interesting time, because a child is able to respond to their name. When you call out their name, they will look at you because they are able to recognize it. Now, the environment matters so much to the development of a child at this time, because if there isn't anyone in the environment who has been interacting with the child, very deliberately calling their name, smiling at them, appreciating them when they do the babbling, now this child may not really be able to identify with their name. But if the environment has been good for them, they are able to identify with their name by the time they are 6 months. And then after that, they have what we call patterned speech, which is usually followed by them calling being able to sound out the first word. Now, what is interesting is that the first word that is normally mentioned is Baba. Now, Baba is mentioned first, even before Mama, because it is carried forward from the babbling stage. You know, babbling and Baba, they are very closely related. And so the child will always find it very easy to say Baba. And scholars say that another reason is that the child believes that themselves and the mother, they are one person. So now they don't need really to refer to the mother because they are one and the same thing. Baba now is the next one to be
Why is it
mentioned.
that they will get the name Mama Mapema before the Baba?
Actually, it is the other way around. They will get Baba first. You know, because they have already been through babbling. They have been saying Baba, Baba, Baba. So now saying just Baba becomes very easy for them. They believe mom and themselves, they are one thing. Yeah, so they will go to Baba first before they can mention Mama. It's something very strange, but that is how it happens, you know, in child growth and development. So when now they do the first word, after that they have they have what we call horror phrase, where now they are able to mention a few words and other words now apart from Baba, and especially words that were carried forward from the babbling stage. So they will now appreciate a name that they can call. If there's a name of a sibling that they can call, or they'll be calling that name for the better part of the day. Yeah, and it is very helpful for them to be able to interact that way. Then at the same time, now by the time the child is between 18 months and 2 years, they do what we call telegraphic speech, where they make very short and incomplete sentences. So that like now, if they want milk, they will say, Mama need milk. Yeah, just a very brief sentence that is not complete, but it communicates.
You go with the keywords.
Exactly. Just like you did the time we used to write telegrams.
Yes.
Remember?
Yes.
You went to the post office and you only wrote the keywords and you are charged according to those words. So your sentences couldn't be complete.
Yes.
That's the same thing when a child is attaining, the language development. And now from there, henceforth, the language continues to, grow in complexity and intensity. Again, this is dependent on the social environment that is around the child, because if it is a deprived environment, then the child will not be able to make much progress. But if the social environment is rich, the child will make very good progress. And the environment doesn't just have to be rich because it has siblings. It can also be the adults who are intentional about talking to this child, smiling at this child, holding this child, nurturing them. That is an environment that is usually very ideal for language development of the child. And also in that same cognitive domain, we find that a child between 4 to 6 months develops what we call object permanence. This is where they are able to trace objects that have been hidden from their view. If a child is playing with a toy and you hide it under something, and they're between that age, they will come for that toy and they will remove whatever covering you had used, and they will retrieve their toy because they know that toy continues to exist there. Earlier than that, a child would not be able to retrieve such an object because cognitively they are still growing. But now, below the age of 3 years, you realize that even when you move away from their presence, they will not even look for you because according to them, you have either evaporated or you have melted, or to them you don't exist anymore. But between 4 and 6 months, they know that you exist, and so they will turn their heads when you move away to look at you because they know you are still there. You have not melted or evaporated. So after, still at the same time, you realize that children will keep picking things and dropping them down. It's still the same concept of object permanence, where they believe that those objects are still there, and that's why they are dropping them, so that now you, as an adult, can go and pick them for them.
Yes.
You pick them, return them on the maybe coffee table, and they will pick them again and drop them. To them, it is fun. Yes, it is fun. Yeah, so that formulates quite a bit of the cognitive development. It's just a snippet of it, because there is much, much more, but I'm just giving the highlights. Then after that, we realized that because below the age of 2, children grow through, like they develop their language through babblings and cooings and the short, telegraphic speeches. It is very, very important for adults who are around them to respond to them, hold the child firmly and talk to them, respond to any sounds that they make. You can also make fun games out of the movements that you see a child making. And that is very important, not just for language development, but for affirmation. And the child also develops a lot of self-confidence, because they can see that, the little effort they are making is being appreciated. And so they get motivated to do more. And it helps them even as far as mental development is concerned. Now, there's also what we call perception,
Yes.
growth in perception, where we find that from birth to 3 weeks, the child's eyes are usually closed much of the time, and then they start responding to human faces. So, and human eyes for that matter. So the eye contact is very important for a child who is as young as 4 weeks old. Look at them at the face, smile at them. Yeah, that stimulates them quite a lot. And then we find that by the time they are turning 6 weeks, they have what we call tracing, whereby they are able to follow any object that is passed right in front of their eyes. They will look at it backwards and forwards. So it is very, very important for any parent to note whether their child is able to trace or they are not able to trace. Not being able to trace may imply that the child has cataracts, and you know that cataracts cause blindness even in adults. And imagine in children, if that be the case, it can be addressed as early as 4 weeks, 3 and 4 weeks of age. So it is important for a child, for a parent to note how their child is growing up. It may also mean that the child is autistic, because autistic children don't have, eye contact. So when that is noted that early, then interventions are put in place that early, and the child's full potential can be restored as far as such kind of a milestone is concerned. So children will grow very well in that regard, across all the domains of growth and development. But then it is very important to note where their peers are, so that if your child has not reached there, then get to to see an assessment specialist who will analyze or rather gather data around that area of delay in growth and development, and then they'll be able to design interventions accordingly, where interventions are very medical in nature. Specialists in assessment know that those are cases that are supposed to be referred to the relevant doctor so that the child can be assisted. Thank you.
Asante sana, asante sana. Maybe sasa nikuuliza at some point, mzazi anafaa kuangalia nini? Mzazi anafaa kuwa keen na area gani sana sana wakati mtoto anapokuwa?
Yes, sasa wakati mtoto anakuwa, just like I mentioned, ni vizuri sana in all areas mzazi aangalie watoto wenye wako the same age group with their child, ni milestones gani wame attain. Kama ni language development, we are saying that by the time the child is 1 year old, they are managing to mention one word. They are managing to call Baba. They are managing to start, addressing other people in the environment. It is very important for a parent now to benchmark using that. Is their child managing to do those things that other children of the same age are managing to do? And if the child has been delayed for a period of 6 months in attaining that milestone, then it becomes very, very important for the parent to see an assessment specialist who will now gather the relevant data and identify the cause of this delay, and then also design assessment, rather interventions for this child.
Asante sana daktari. Je, kuna mbinu mwafaka ambayo mtu anafaa kufuata, tuseme kama tunaitaje approaches ambayo mtu anafaa kufuata kuhakikisha kwamba anafuatilia ukuaji wa mtoto? Tuseme mama anapokuwa mjamzito, ni approaches gani ama inaanzia wapi? Where does the process really start? Is it during the expectancy or after the expectancy? Where exactly?
Actually, the prenatal time of growth and development, wakati mama ako mjamzito, ni vizuri sana kufuatilia ile mpangilio yenye anakuwa directed in the clinic, because in the clinic the doctor or rather the specialist there, the clinician, will be checking whether the mother is gaining the weight normally, because if she's not gaining the weight, then it could mean that the baby is not growing well. And the mother also gets to be guided about the kind of diet that she's supposed to be taking. And there are also some vaccinations that the mother, gets, immunizations. The doctors are able to check whether the child is lying at the right, position in the stomach or not. And they're able to address those issues accordingly. And now when the baby is born, now early childhood assessment it becomes very important, because the mother herself can be able to look and see whether their baby is attaining the relevant milestones or not. They are able to check them against other children. And if the delay takes 6 months, now that is the time when intervention needs to happen, because like I said, there are individual differences. A child can delay for a month, that is okay, for 2 months, but then if it is getting to 6 months, the mother needs to address the matter, take that child to specialists so that they are able to actually address the matter and be able to create interventions for the child.
Hizo ni miongoni mwa watu ama nile tunaita mbinu ambayo inaweza tukatumia. Je, mtu atauliza sasa mchango wa mzazi katika hii safari yote ni gani?
Yes, asante sana kwa hilo swali. Mzazi ako muhimu sana katika maisha ya mtoto wake, because we realize that just like I was talking about the need for stimulation, you realize that these days parents in the 21st century are very busy. They are busy looking for money. The economy is tight on them. And so sometimes they can tend to overlook the child, forget to smile at the child, forget to hold the child family and keep affirming them anytime they make a movement. The parent should make fun and a game out of that, milestone, and that stimulates the child. These days parents have a challenge because of time, but then they need to be very deliberate. They need to take time with their children. Let them not show their children too much TV, because that is now how parents are compensating for that. A child sits in front of the TV and watches the TV, for the better part of the day. That is not good for the child, because it dulls the child's thinking, and it is also said, scholars say, that it affects the IQ of the child. Instead, a child should be exposed to their environment. Let them get to know who are the people at home, what their names, what are the rooms at home. Let the child be taken for a walk in the evening and let them see the trees, let them hear the birds, if there are birds in the locality, let them see different animals, let them see that there's a difference between a dog and a cat, and let them interact with their environment as much as possible. That is very important for their growth and development. And it will be very important also when it will come to their education, because that is where education starts from. And I would also want to let parents know that as a parent, you are a very key person in the life of your child, because you are the one who is with this child 24/7. You are the one who knows this child, left, right, center. Doctors don't know. They can only rely on the information that you give them. So please know that you are very important in the life of your child. And it so happens that, for children who have developmental delays and those of them with special needs and disability, usually the world, the community doesn't understand them. They use very negative words on them, watoto walemavu, watoto wazimu, and that is not the case. Each one, let me say that every human being has a level of developmental delay. None of us is 100% complete. It is only God who is 100% complete. So when your child has a developmental delay, know that it is only that people are different, and this child also is. They too can learn. It's only that they will learn differently at different times. So please be there for them. The experience of parenting such a child can be very challenging, because then they are not understood. Sometimes even the education system does not understand them, but we thank God because of what the milestones the government is making in making sure that children with special needs are addressed are taken care of in schools. So what I'm saying is this: parent, your total well-being is very important. Your psychosocial support is very important. When you find that you have a child who is different from others, they have developmental delays, or they have special needs, they have a disability, get to know other parents in your locality who have similar children and form a group and start talking to each other. Talk to each other, inform them about how you are coping. They will also inform you about how they are coping, and together you can be friends. Together you can get to share the good practices, and that will help you psychosocially. Remember, without you, the child will struggle a lot. If you are not alive, it's very difficult for another person to pick up a child who has developmental delays and be able to work with them the way a parent has. So we need you there. We need you in good health. We need you happy, because a happy, parent will always yield a happy child. So if you are happy as a parent, your child also is happy. So do things that make you happy. If as a mother you love taking a long bath once in a while, let somebody take care of your child and just do a long bath. And if you love going to the salon, please go to the salon and just enjoy yourself. Take a picture of yourself with makeup and frame it. And when you see it, you know that is how good life can get. So we need you happy, parent. We need you in good health. We need you, we need you, we need you. Remember, you are the first parent to this child. The first teacher to this child. You are the timeless teacher. You are the teacher who was there before this child went to school. You are the one who who toilet trained them. You taught them how to talk. You taught them how to dress, how to wear shoes, and how to tie the shoelaces. You are a timeless parent, a teacher. And so you are still the teacher who will remain with this child even after school is over. Even when you'll be called grandma, you will still be a teacher to this child. And so please, we need you in one piece. Take care of yourself, take care of your health, and you'll be able to progress well. If your child is educable and is going to school, please visit the school, be an advocate for your child. There may be things that the teacher may not know about this child. There may be things that children in the class do not know, and you may need to just go there and let them know that this child has limitations in this area. Maybe they are the type who want to be hugged all the time, and they are coming to be hugged, and anytime they see anyone coming around, they hug them. You can educate the child to give them a feast and do ngota when this child comes, or you raise up your hand so that you do a high five instead of being hugged, because corona is still with us. Yes. You don't want the child hugging everybody around the place. But if you are the advocate, you can indeed educate children in the class. You can educate the teacher and work with the teacher. Your child will make big time improvement the moment you are also working hand in hand with the teacher. If the teacher is teaching them to write at home, give your child that support. If the teacher is teaching phonics at home, follow up with the child, and your child will be able to make very good progress. Remember, I said that any and every child will learn. It's only that they are different. They will learn at different times and using different methods. Thank you.
Asante sana kwa maelezo hayo mazuri zaidi. Na swali moja kwako kabla tuende kwa Sister Mary kuhusiana na, kuna wazazi ambao pia kwa bahati mbaya ama nyingine upate mtoto ambaye yuko na hizi delays, wao hutenga kuwatenga na kuwaficha nyumbani. Sijui utawaambiaje wazazi kama, manake wanasema unaonekana wangu sio kawaida, unapata mama fulani ama mzazi fulani alipata mtoto lakini hujaimuona akitolewa nje, sijui anaota jua saa ngapi na mambo mengine kama haya.
Yes, thank you for that question. It is very dangerous to keep that child indoors all the time. It is important for the parent to be able to accompany the child. If you're going to the church, go to church with the child. If you're going, to the market, walk with the child so that they can also learn about what is there in their environment. If they cannot walk, at least these days when you are in those parents groups, there are usually assistive devices that can be assessed, because we have organizations that may be able to donate a wheelchair or something, and that will help you to get your child out so that they see what is there in their environment. And when they interact with other children, they get to learn various competencies. Like when they play with other children, they get to learn how to interact socially, because they know when they're with their peers, they can't afford to bite them. If they bite them, they will not be welcomed to play again. They learn how to share with others. They won't learn that when they are indoors. They will only learn when they are outdoors and interacting with the others. So let's be an advocate for your child. Let the other children know that this is also a child. It's only that they have those delays, and help your child to be able to interact with their environment. It's very, very important. Please don't hide them.
Asante sana daktari kwa maelezo hayo mazuri zaidi kuhusiana na swala hilo la kuwalea watoto na kuwakuza watoto ambao pia wako na development delays. Na umeweza kuzungumzia kwa undani zaidi masuala mengi tu ambayo msikilizaji wangu pengine alikuwa anaweza kuyataka kuyajua. Na tumesalia na muda kama dakika 10 hivi. Katika muda huu dakika hizi 10, wacha turejee kwa Sister Mary naye aweze kutuambia kuna kosi ambazo zinahusiana na swala hili ambalo tulikuwa tunazungumzia kwa undani zaidi. Na kosi hii inapatikana katika chuo kikuu cha Tangaza, msikilizaji wangu. Intake zitakuwa zinaendelea tunavyozungumza kwa saa hizi hivi, na pengine unajiuliza nini ambacho itahitaji kabla mimi kuweza kujiunga na kosi hii. Mary, karibu sana.
Asante.
Anza kwanza kutuambia kuhusiana na kosi hii, na alafu vile vile utueleze kwa nini ukaamua kuileta katika chuo kikuu ama ile bodi ya Senate ikaamua kuileta katika chuo kikuu cha Tangaza.
Asante kwa hilo swali. Na baada ya kusikiliza maelezo mazuri sana kutoka kwa Dr. Ruth, I think hiyo ni kitu inaamsha akili yetu kufikiria mambo mengi sana ambayo yanatendeka siku hizi. Watoto ambao tunaona saa hizi sometimes wako na hizo challenges ambazo Sister Ruth ametuelezea, na tulikuwa tunajiuliza how can this be, what can we do in order to intervene to kuona kwamba hawa watoto bado they are accommodated in the society today. They are not deprived of any opportunities kama watoto wengine, wanakuwa na opportunity ya kwenda shule kama watoto wengine, wana opportunity ya kuinteract na watoto wengine as everybody else and so on. So tukafikiria what would happen if probably some of these challenges, kuna hizo interventions ambazo Sister Dr. Ruth ameongelea about, kama tunaweza ingilia kati mapema tuone kwamba tunaweza saidia hawa watoto na ni jinsi gani tunaweza kuintervene. So ndio maana tukafikiria about program kama hii yetu ya Early Childhood Assessment and Intervention. Tukafikiria kwamba tukiwa na program kama hii inaweza kufungua kama njia ya kutupeleka huko nje kuangalia even hao watoto wanapokuwa, also to bring awareness to parents, to teachers as they interact with these children, kuna kwamba labda there's something that can be done to these children. So the main idea or the main reason be able to address to the challenges that we are finding really is and we are really very, very passionate about this program because we are saying it is going to address very, very current issues and pertinent issues that are affecting maybe many families. Maybe as none of us is 100% without delays. So probably hata watu wengi ni wale labda tunaweza ona kama huyu labda akona delay, hasomi vizuri, haendelei vizuri na masomo, but labda kuna mambo mengine zaidi ambayo hatuwezi ona. So this is what we want to do with this kuna mambo mengine zaidi ambayo hatuwezi ona. So this is what we want to do with this through this program, to be able to address some of these challenges that we are finding, especially early in early childhood, so that we are able to address them as early as possible, ili hawa watoto waendelee vizuri na maisha yao. Tukiintervene labda tutawasaidia maybe coming up with better strategies how to be able to address these children. Yeah.
Asante sana. Asante sana kwa kuhusiana na jinsi kozi hii itaweza kuwasaidia wengi zaidi. Je, ni nani ambaye anapaswa kujiunga na mtu yote?
Hii course is open to a few groups that are people can be able to enroll for this program, and we are targeting, especially it is very, very ideal for practitioners with an undergraduate degree. Yes. And of course probably kuna watu ambao hawako so labda wanajiuliza
na sisi sasa tuko wapi?
Yes, tuko wapi? Labda mtu ako hapo anasikia kama really moyo unadunda, anataka also would like to register for this, to enroll for this program. We are also not leaving them out, because we are saying that probably these people can also come. What we shall do is that we shall give them some prerequisite units in labda in psychology, to give them a background so that they are not lost, they are not feeling very alien, like they are entering into a very alien ground. So we'll give them some prerequisite units or courses to form that background for them, and then they can be able now to proceed from that. Yes. So it is a course that is open. It is a course that is going to embrace many people, to welcome many people, especially those who are very, very, very passionate about really child development, because this is, as we speak about child development, we're also looking at the nation itself. What kind of people do we want to have for our nation? What contribution to have for our nation? What contribution do we want the future generations to make in our nation? So when we have a healthy childhood, we are also sure that we're going to have a healthy nation. We're going to have people that are able to contribute positively to the nation and to the society at large.
Asante sana. Asante sana kwa maelezo hayo, na asante sana kwa kuweza kutenga muda na kuweza kutuambia mengi zaidi kuhusiana na hilo. Mr. Rambo, nimekuona, asante sana uko ndani ya makala Amka na Mtaa, pamoja na Mr. Paradise Kinyozi, Kingi Hussein pia na kuona uko ndani ya makala ya asubuhi ya leo. Asante kwa kuweza kutegea 99.9 sauti ya mtaa, alafu na Mr. Benson Makori pia na kuona pia kwa uzuri zaidi upande huu mwingine wa pili. Tukiangalia upande huu mwingine pia naona jamaa hapa anaitwa nani? Pia namuona pia yuko ndani hapa ndani ya 99.9 kwa uzuri zaidi tu. Anasema anazidi kufuatia makala haya, naona kibina anatupeleka mbio. Mr. Rogers Odor anasema tuko pamoja sana ndani ya makala Amka na Mtaa kwa uzuri zaidi. Asante sana kwa kuweza kutegea 99.9. Kabla turejee kwa Daktari Ruth, pengine intake inaendelea saa hizi ama intake zinaendelea sababu Daktari Ruth, pengine intake inaendelea saa hizi ama intake zinaendelea sababu gani mchakato wa kuapply?
Yes, the intake is ongoing. Mtu anaweza visit our website. At the same time, there's a telephone number that can be helpful. This is 0734 420 935. And if you make that phone call, somebody on the other end will be able to respond and inform you more about the admissions, but they are ongoing for the January semester. The other thing is that there's a 10% discount for the first 10 applicants. So please apply as soon as possible and you will be able to enjoy this discount for the whole course. You won't pay 10%, we will waive it for you
So for the first 10 applicants from now,
yes, there's a waiver of 10%.
There's a waiver of 10%.
Yes.
Yes,
and then the other thing is that the classes take place only on Fridays and Saturdays. Yeah, so that makes it very possible for one to, just participate, because it's not throughout the week. Throughout the week, you can do your other consultancies, and then you come to school on Friday and Saturday and be taught. And the course also is MSc. MSc. That is why we are asking for people who have an undergraduate in the areas that Sister has mentioned.
Asante sana. Pengine hisia zako za mwisho tunapomaliza kipindi, Sister Mary.
Mimi ni kuambia wote kwamba hii course is a very, very important one, also because we have many of them are maybe family people, or eventually they will also become family people, and therefore they will need a lot of this awareness in trying to see and to watch as their children, the joy of seeing their children growing, and of course following in case of anything. And therefore, karibuni wote, really we would like to have as many as possible, so that also we are assured of a healthy childhood as our children grow up, and also a healthy society.
Asante sana. Daktari, pengine hisia zako za mwisho?
Yes, thank you so much for having us in studio. What I would want to say is that we need many people to be able to embrace early childhood assessment and intervention. This is because this is a new area of focus. We haven't had a lot of attention being given to children with developmental delays and children with special needs, but indeed they have a place also. They too are children, and they need an education just like any other child. They learn differently, but they also do need to be in school. That is for those of them who are educable. And we also have a group of children who cannot go to school because their developmental issues are too severe. For those, when you have done this kind of a course, you'll be able to even come up with home-based interventions for those children as well. I would also want to say that let us open up. Anyone who is listening to us today, please be an advocate for children with developmental delays and disabilities and special needs. This is because This is because you find that sometimes parents will go to places of worship, believing that this is where their child can find help, believing that this is where they can find psychosocial help for themselves, only for them to be turned down and to be told that maybe their child is demon-possessed or there is witchcraft in their family. There's nothing like that. Then also know that these disabilities are not transferable. It's not like a disease like cholera that can be communicated or rather transferred to others. So let other children also be able to play and to interact with the children with developmental delays and even with those with disabilities. And if as a community we shall embrace these children, they too will be able to realize a happy childhood, and they'll be able to realize their maximum potential.
Asante sana Daktari Ruth Walioli kwa kuweza kufika hapa ndani katika studio zetu na kutufundisha mengi zaidi kuhusiana na hizi development delays hasa kwa watoto, na asante sana kuweza kukumbusha kwamba wazazi tuna mchango mkubwa zaidi wa kuweza kuhakikisha kwamba watoto hawa ama watoto wetu wanaweza kusaidiwa ama zile interventions zinapatikana haraka iwezekanavyo iwapo tutaweza kusense kitu kama hicho. Na nakukumbusha kwamba pia wazazi sisi ni walimu wa kwanza kwa yule mtoto. Kwa hivyo ni muhimu tena zaidi. Asante sana pia Sister Mary Ngina pia kwa kuweza kutenga muda wenu na kuweza kufika hapa ndani, na watakia usikilizaji mwema ndugu mpenzi msaji wangu kwa vipindi vyetu vinavyoendelea, na asanteni tena sana kwa kuweza kufika. Tutakuwa tunapata taarifa za habari majira ya saa 3 asubuhi.